Hello, welcome to Outland Woodworks. My name is Shane, and today we're going to be looking at step 2 of the Harvey table saw setup, installing the extension wing. Well, let's get going. So the table is underneath here, the cabinet saw. I've put a moving blanket, which if you're a woodworker and you don't have moving blankets, get moving blankets. These things are awesome for all kinds of things. In this case, I don't want to put metal on metal and scratch up the tops. So this is the large right-hand wing. The second step, which the first step is to put a knob on, which is easy enough. To get that done, next step is to install an extension wing. So we're going to unpackage it. We are going to check it for being flat, make sure it's within tolerances, and it's a bit windy and storming outside. So if you hear some of that, I apologize. We're going to open it up and take a look. See exactly how this box opens. Looks like we can just slide that flap down. This is pretty heavy, probably weighs around 75 pounds or so, I would guess. It's all in plastic, so we're going to try to slide it out of this box. Same kind of paper that came on the top of the cabinet saw. So I think what we're going to do is stand this up. Again, be very careful. This thing is very heavy, and fall on your toe, that would hurt a little bit. Paper is clear, so we're going to set it back down. Move this back over. Take our paper off. Top looks great. If I can manage to get this up off of this blanket, get this paper out. So to check this, we are going to be using a 50-inch Tay Tools straight edge. I'll link all this will be in the description. A feeler gauge, mine goes down to 8 thousandths, which is well within the tolerances of not just the table, but there's any variances in the square or the straight edge. And a light that I had, I apparently put up. It's just a small little light. I think got this free in the mail or something, somebody trying to sell them. Very handy, I'm sure quite inexpensive. So first we're going to check probably 3 points on this in this direction by turning on the light. Seeing if we see any light. This is kind of the quick way rather than trying to run down it with a feeler gauge at the moment. That looks good. Move it to the middle. And I'm just looking for any light peeking through, and there is a little bit of light here. And I know the angle doesn't help you much. But we'll test that, and I can pretty much tell you from the size of it that it is very, very small. Yeah, there's no way that 8 thousandths is going in there. So we're good there. We're going to scoot over about part of that since we know there's a little spot right there. Check it again. And as you can see, I'm just sliding the light along it. There's that little spot right here. The rest of it looks good. So we'll test to make sure. It looked like it was tightening up, so that is not going in there. So we know we're still good. And we'll come down to the end. And we're going to slide this down and look. Here's that little spot. And the rest of it looks good. Test this right in there where that spot was, make sure. It's very, very small. Probably a couple thousandths maybe. Yeah, there's nothing there. We got a little bit of a wave right there, just very, very small, and you can almost tell where I think that looks like they may even have worked on it. Bring it down here. If you can see in the reflection of it, as I make that light reflection go up, right in there, there's a little bit where it looks like maybe it got polished on a little bit. They may have seen that wave. Everything else is just residue from the paper right in here. And that's where our little wave is, but it's very, very, very small, well within acceptable limits. Again, I'll have links to all this stuff in the description if you need it. But I highly recommend a straight edge. It doesn't have to be this one, just a really good quality straight edge that tells you what the tolerances are on it so you can add or subtract to whatever you're checking. So the next step in the directions is to mount that to the side of the table. So for the sake of seeing that and getting closer to it, we are going to, one, slide this over, get that off the side. Two, we're going to move angles on the camera here. Hopefully get you a better look at it. So as you can see, there are three. These came in it already in there. And what we're going to want to do is take those out. It looks like they're just finger tight. And there is a lock washer and a flat washer on those. And I left the flat washer stuck to the side. There is some oil on it still. I've not done anything cleaning or otherwise to this just yet. And I'm going to just take a rag and just wipe that down. Now you will want to eventually clean all this with denatured alcohol to get all the oil and residue off. And I toyed with this idea a little bit, or more with this thought, is if I clean this mating surfaces thoroughly with denatured alcohol, then there's no protectant on it whatsoever, and they'll be pretty much open to the air after I put it together. I say open to the air, any air gaps that would be in it. And any rusting or anything, I mean, you can't get to it, so it would just be out of control. So I thought about maybe putting wax on it or ceramic coat on it. But then you're going to be changing the friction between your two pieces, which after some vibrating could allow them to adjust a little. So I think what I've decided is the lesser of all the evils that I can think of is I'm going to leave this with the film and the dust and stuff that's already on it to help protect it against oxidation. And the same thing with the mating edge on the wing. I'm just going to wipe them off with a dry rag. I'm going to leave everything else on them just to make sure there's no little chips or anything on it. Now I will go back and I will be doing the top with denatured alcohol. I just have to kind of make sure that I don't do that, like pour it on so that it runs down in these cracks and things of that nature, which it should be very, very tight. So I don't imagine I'll have a big problem with that, but that's my thought on it. So the next step is, well, there's two actually. One, we want to make sure the orientation of the table is right, and the other one is we need to get something to help hold the weight of this thing, because like I said, it is about 75 pounds. So what I think we're going to do is first I'm going to look. Now there are exact same holes on both sides in the same place. However, on the end there is a hole here, and there is a hole here on this closest side. So I'm going to look here in the instructions real quick and see if that makes any difference. Here is a picture of it assembled. And it looks like those are going to be the mounting holes for the fence system. So it's a good thing I went and looked for that. And it may say in here, I'm not going to waste your time by reading every specific detail, but from my brief skim over, it doesn't really say anything about that. Actually, I think I'm going to set it on here a little to the side so I can get my clamps on there without it getting in the way. So what I've chosen to use is a couple of sticks you get when they bring you a load of something or whatever. You can use whatever, just pine is fine. I just would make sure it's not too soft so it ends up breaking. And we're going to use some F-style clamps. I'm going to do this side first. On one of these I don't have a pad. Ended up losing it somewhere. So we're going to make sure that is on the wood. Now I could mount it this way or this way. I can tell you from experience that wood is stronger on edge, and since these are narrower than like a 2x4, and what we're going to do is we are going to pinch that between the table, and there are some screws sticking down, so you want to make sure you're not on those, as so. And I wanted to put that on the wood. Now these aren't going to be deep enough to go that far in, so I'm going to come out until I can get there. And tighten that one up. Now again, these have pad on them. You don't want to put metal straight on that unless you don't mind scratching it up. So now that we have the table just about as flush as we can get it within reason, I did check it. There does seem to be a little bit of a dip down here, but until I get the rest of the table assembled, get some legs supported on the other side, we won't really know where it's going to land. But I've tightened up all the bolts here and got it feeling really good. So in the next video, for the next step, we're going to be attaching the rails. And from there, lots and lots to do. So I appreciate you watching this. Please give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like to see more of this stuff, and we'll get to putting the rest of this together. Thanks. Have a fantastic day.